The day I painted my boss's nails hot pink, I had already decided I was going to get fired. I didn't care anymore. He had pushed me past my limit for the last time. Mocked me in front of his entire care team, called my career a waste of real talent, and sat there in that expensive penthouse bed like a king on a throne he hadn't earned. So while he slept, I uncapped the brightest, most aggressive shade of pink I owned and I painted every single nail. Slowly. Deliberately. With zero regret. He had a board meeting the next morning. 12 executives. Live video call. I stood in the hallway and watched. He noticed 4 minutes in. I saw his eyes drop to his hands. Then back to the camera. Then back to his hands again. He didn't say a single word. He finished the entire 45-minute meeting with 10 hot pink fingernails on full display. When the call ended, he looked up. He found me through the doorway. And he said absolutely nothing. That silence should have scared me. Instead it cracked something open, in him, and honestly, in me too. Because here is what nobody tells you about revenge. Sometimes it doesn't give you what you wanted. Sometimes it gives you something stranger. Something you were not ready for. I didn't get fired that day. And by the end of this story you are going to understand why the man who once destroyed my confidence became the one person I couldn't walk away from. Stay with me. This gets complicated. 2 years before that nail polish moment, my name was Maya and I was a junior architect at Hargrove & Associates, one of the most competitive design firms in the country. I worked 70-hour weeks. I missed my best friend's wedding rehearsal because I was finishing a client deck at 2 in the morning. I believed if I was excellent enough and invisible enough it would matter. I would matter. Dominic Hargrove made sure I stopped believing that. Day 1, he called my design concept entry-level thinking in front of 12 colleagues. I had spent 3 weeks on it. Month 2, he submitted my work to an industry award under his name. When I confronted him quietly he said everything produced here belongs to the firm and walked away. I told myself it was normal. I told myself to prove myself harder. Then came the Monday that broke me completely. I had been shortlisted for a senior promotion. My manager told me I was the strongest candidate. 3 years of late nights. 3 years of giving that company everything I had. Dominic made the announcement that morning. He gave it to someone else. A man who had been there 8 months. And then he looked directly at me across the table and said in front of everyone, Maya, I need people with the instinct for greatness. Not just the discipline to show up. The room went completely silent. I smiled. I nodded. I gathered my things. I walked out and never went back. I cried in my car for 40 minutes. Then I retrained as an occupational therapist assistant. Took a pay cut. Started over from zero. And slowly I found something I hadn't felt in years. I felt useful. Not impressive, useful. There is a real difference. 2 years later I was genuinely good at this work. I helped people relearn how to use their hands after strokes. I watched a man button his own shirt for the first time in months and cry with relief. So when my agency called with a high-priority private placement and excellent pay, I said yes before they finished the sentence. Then they sent me the file. I stared at the name for a long time. Dominic Hargrove. I almost said no. My finger hovered over the call button for a full minute. But something stopped me. Maybe pride. Maybe the part of me that never healed from that Monday morning. I took the case. I told myself I was professional enough to handle it. I was wrong. But not in the way I expected. If you have ever had to walk back into a room that once humiliated you, you already know exactly how my first morning in that penthouse felt. And if you haven't, keep watching. Because what happened next, I genuinely did not see coming. The penthouse was immaculate and completely cold. No personal photographs anywhere. Not one. His housekeeper let me in. I knocked on the bedroom door. He was sitting up in bed with a tablet and reading glasses. And my first thought, not professional at all, was that he looked smaller than I remembered. Like someone had quietly taken the sharpest edges of him. Then he looked up. And he did not recognize me. That hit harder than I expected. "You're the new therapist," he said. Not a question. A label. Occupational therapist assistant. "I'm Maya. I'll be. I know what you're here for. Let's not narrate it." And just like that, Dominic Hargrove was fully back. The accident had been 3 months earlier. A scaffolding collapse. He had been on site personally because he didn't trust anyone else to oversee the detail work. It left him with temporary lower limb paralysis and severe weakness in both hands. He couldn't grip a pen. Couldn't button a shirt. Couldn't draw. For a man who controlled everything, losing his hands was a specific kind of torture. Day 2 he told me my technique was incorrect. Day 3 he noted I was 4 minutes late. Day 4 he refused his hand exercises because, and I quote, "moving my fingers in circles like a toddler is not rehabilitation. It is theater." Every evening I called my best friend Priya from the parking garage. "Just quit. He is not worth your peace. I am not letting him win again." "Win what, Maya? What are you actually winning?" I didn't have an answer for that. Then came day 9. I arrived early and found him hunched over drafting paper, hands shaking badly, lines broken and uneven. Nothing like the precise drawings framed in his hallway. He heard me and covered the paper immediately. Like I had caught him doing something shameful. I sat up quietly and said nothing. But I saw his hands. I saw exactly what he had lost. That was the first crack. The second crack came during a routine grooming session, nail care, standard fine motor retraining. I was filing when he said quietly, almost to himself, "You know what I find tragic? People with real potential who choose to waste it playing nurse." He wasn't even looking at me when he said it. I finished the session. Packed the kit. Walked to my bag. And I took out the nail polish. Hot pink. Every single nail. Slow and deliberate while he slept. I placed both hands neatly on the blanket and waited. The board call started at 9. 12 executives on screen. For minutes in he shifted for his notes and saw them. I watched his jaw tighten. I watched him process it in real time. He looked straight at the camera and said, "Let's move to the financial projections." 45 minutes. He ran that call like a man in complete control of his life. When it ended, he looked through the doorway directly at me. "Could you make another cup of tea?" he said. That was all. I brought the tea. He picked it up, looked out the window and said, "My mother's favorite color was pink." Then nothing. I went home and wrote my resignation letter. Checked my phone every 20 minutes until I fell asleep. No call came. Something shifted after that. He was still difficult but differently, less armor, more exhaustion. He started asking small questions. He stopped performing. And then one afternoon mid-session he went very still. "You worked for me," he said. "Yes. You were the best designer in that office." I set his hand down on the table, looked at him directly and said, "I know." Then I went to get water because I needed 30 seconds to put my face back together. 2 weeks later I was at his desk guiding his hand slowly across drafting paper. Simple lines. Then curves. Then a basic structural outline. He didn't speak. I didn't speak. When we finished he looked at what we'd made and said, "Again tomorrow." "It's already in the session plan," I said. But it wasn't just a session anymore. And we both knew it. The night he finally said, "I owe you more than an explanation," I walked out without turning around and said, "Yes, you do." 3 days later a letter arrived by courier. Handwritten. The pressure of the pen slightly uneven because his hands were still not fully back. He named the award submission. He named the promotion. He named that exact Monday morning sentence, word for word, which meant he had been carrying it too. He apologized for each one separately. No excuses. No context. Just, I was wrong. I am sorry. At the bottom in smaller writing, I've been told I owe you a dinner. I'd also like to return something that belongs to you. No pressure. Just an open door if you want to walk through it. I showed up on a Thursday evening. He was standing. Cane in hand, but standing. The table was set simply. And beside my plate was a framed print of my original design, the one he had taken credit for, with my name printed cleanly across the bottom. Designed by Maya Chen. He told me it had been officially credited to me retroactively with the industry body. Permanently. I didn't trust my voice for a moment. We had dinner. We talked for 3 hours. He told me about his mother and how he had filled her absence with control and work and the performance of greatness. I told him about the 9-year-old girl who drew floor plans in her school notebooks because she believed making something beautiful was reason enough. He said, she was right. That version of you was right. At the door I said, I don't know what happens now. He said, neither do I. But I'm not running this time. I'm not either, I said. And I meant it. Here is what I want to say before this ends. I went in wanting a small clean revenge. I got something messier and more real. A man who finally cracked open enough to mean it when he said sorry. A version of myself that stopped running from hard things. And my name on a piece of work that always belonged to me. I am not telling you people always change. Most of them don't. I am telling you that sometimes the most unexpected door leads somewhere worth walking through. And for the record, his nails looked incredible in hot pink. If this story moved you at all, drop a comment and tell me, would you have done it? Would you have walked back through that door? Share this with someone who needs it today. And if you want more stories like this one, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.